You get to decide what this journey gets to look like. You get to decide how you show up for yourself. You get to decide that you are worth prioritizing when the world tells you to prioritize everyone and everything else. And so that first step is the mindset, asking yourself those really critical questions about what would you love? What brings you joy? Who are you becoming in the second half of your life? Who do you want to step into? Because I think when we have that mindset shift that we're like, okay, I'm clear on who I'm going to become. I can see her over there and she is rocking it. Let me tell you, she is killing it. And I am willing to be consistent to get to her.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. And I'm your host, Dr. Neeta. And this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. And today, queens, my dears, we are braving perimenopause. Have you ever had a moment where you actually forgot your thoughts or what you were going to say mid-sentence? I feel like that's happening to me a lot more lately. And I don't know if it's just mom brain because, I have two littles running around. But like, if your mood was a roller coaster, if nothing changed around you, would you feel like you're a little bit more irritable? Would you feel like, everything is going as planned? Listen, if you've been feeling any of this way, you're not alone. You are not broken. You're basically just in midlife. And I know I don't really like that word too. But no one has prepared us for this. And that's why my guest today is someone who literally has written a book all about the perimenopause revolution. And she is none other than Dr. Mariza Snyder. And she has written 8+ books. Many of them have had over millions and millions of downloads and copies sold. You may know her from her incredible hit podcast that has had millions of downloads, 14 million to date, with Dr. Mariza, or her new book, The Perimenopause Revolution, which is basically the hormone Bible that we should all have, that we should have gotten in school, but we probably didn't. So today we're breaking the silence. We're actually talking about all things perimenopause, what it does to our health, what it does to our hormones, what it does to our brain, what it does to our libido, and what it can actually do even in our careers when we have small children, when we are trying to get pregnant. And it can happen as early as in our early 30s to mid 30s, but most of it tends to hit us in our 40s. So buckle up and enjoy the ride because this one's a juicy one with Dr. Mariza this week. Hey, Queen.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Why are we on a mental health roller coaster? And I know we brought you back the first time. This is part 2. Last time we were talking about how well and accomplished you are, Queen. But I am so glad that you have literally devoted this season of your life as a mama, as a goal-getting queen, as someone hella ambitious, but also I think if there was ever a book that needed to be written about this era that's kind of, we're not in menopause, but we're on this road that seems kind of murky and we don't really know a lot about. But I feel like a lot of the women and the girlies that I'm talking to, like nobody wants to know about this word, like
Yeah.
40 is the new 20, yet we're feeling all sorts of whack. Can we break this down?
Absolutely. Perimenopause and midlife is really the messy middle. So that first question you ask is what's going on with our mental health, right? And it's important to note that this particular transition that we go through, the 4 to 10 years leading to menopause, where it can feel like a roller coaster ride. Our whole body hormones, those reproductive hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, as they are erratically declining without permission, mind you, like I didn't ask for that. They have a profound impact on our brain. So I call perimenopause a neuroendocrine transition, meaning that it's going to have the hormones and the way that they communicate with the brain are shifting. And what that results in is a lot of brain-related symptoms, including anxiety, depression, mood swings. I mean, the most common symptom of perimenopause is irritability. And then you got brain fog, lack of word recall, like what you're talking about. Like, do you just not forget the word you're about to say? Or
right. It's like, it was like on my mind and then I'm like, oh, there it goes. There
it
it
just
went.
flutters away, right? Or like you walk with full intention into a room and then you're like, why did I even come in here? And then not even just to talk about those, but then even the hot flashes, the sleep disturbances, the night sweats, all of that is brain derived and brain related. And
So night sweats as well. Okay.
yeah. And so I would say that a bulk of what women are experiencing and why it feels so destabilizing, at least that has been my experience. And that's the reason why I wanted to write this book, because I'm like, for as many women as I've taken care of over the 17 years and all of them being in midlife, you can know what's going to happen, but until you're in the lived experience, you don't know what it's going to feel like. And when you are, I know so many of the women listening to the show are highly productive, type A individuals, women who are the CEO of their household, their family, their career, their business. And when you have all of these plates in the air, you're juggling all the plates, and you've been doing that well for a very, very long time. And then all of a sudden, things begin to shift, and your stress tolerance shifts, and your mental capacity and mental energy shifts. It feels like the rug is pulled from under you. And I think that's why this particular transition can feel so destabilizing, is we felt like we had all of it together, and then it begins to shift really without permission.
Yeah. And, a few years ago when the kids were really small, like Isla is now 4, we have 4-year-olds at
Yes.
home, both of us. And, when my son was about 3 and my daughter was just born, it was like the chaotic mom brain post baby time.
Yeah, postpartum.
Yeah, postpartum. And then they get a little bit older. And, I had my kids about the time around 40. And what you're talking about in the book is that a lot of these shifts happen, around the time we're having like our kids.
Yeah.
So is that kind of an overlap, or is it just mom brain? Can we attribute it to mom brain, or is it really actually perimenopause?
It's a yes and. So I want to break down the 3 major brain remodeling transitions that happen to us as women. The first time is in puberty. Now, puberty isn't a one moment when you get your period for the first time. It is an 8-year transition. But we are ascending into the reproductive years, right? Where we're about to start to cycle our hormones rhythmically every single month, right? Consistently for 30 plus years. But in that time, we know that the brain is massively reorganizing. And then if we end up having children, and again, that's any woman's decision, but we go through a massive remodeling again in the brain during pregnancy, and most importantly, in postpartum. And then the third, and I consider to be one of the most profound neuroendocrine transitions, right, where the brain is massively remodeling, is going to be in perimenopause. That's why it's called the second puberty.
Yeah.
But instead of an ascension into childbearing years, we are on the descension. We're on the decline out into menopause and into our wisest kind of second half of our lives. But in that transition, as our brain is massively reorganizing, it can feel, again, like I shared earlier, very destabilizing. But let's take a woman. A lot of us are having children later. I myself had my son at 41 years old.
Oh, wow.
And we're in postpartum, like feeling postpartum for a good 2 years, give or take. I would say by the time your child's 2, you're kind of coming out of the fog, right? And I remember being 43 at the time when I was pulling out of this fog, and I had been feeling good for about 3-4 months. And I decided that that was the time I was going to get back into doubling down on my habits, like working out harder, building muscle. I knew that I was entering peri, but I hadn't felt it yet. And then I feel like it was a cacophony of kind of up-leveling my stress load or just adding in stressors that kind of tipped the scale. And it wasn't as if I actually fully ever recovered from postpartum. I kind of went from postpartum straight into perimenopause with like a tiny pit stop.
Right.
And I think that is what's happening with a lot of women who are having children in their late 30s or even their early 40s, is that there really isn't a break between this other neuroendocrine transition where your brain remodels to protect your children to this second, the kind of the third neuroendocrine transition where your brain is trying to reconcile the fact that hormones that it's been reliant on rhythmically every single month for decades, all of a sudden can't rely on it anymore.
Yeah. And that's huge.
Huge.
Because I think before, so much of it could have been just blamed on, oh, I just have mom brain. I don't know. I've got so many things on my plate. Oh, I have ADHD. I just have, so many windows open. And I want to double click a little bit on, some of the major symptoms or even the minor symptoms that for anybody listening or watching or who has, an older sister or even maybe they're going through it, what is it that actually tends to change? I see all the content that you're putting out with like, oh, I just forgot the keys in the fridge or, like the forgetfulness, the irritability. But what are some of those milestone symptoms that you're like, okay, maybe I could be? And then let's talk about what are some of the things that you do talk about so much in the book on how to equip women with the tools and even some of the things that they can be, doing in their lives.
I love this question because I think so many women want to know, am I in perimenopause? Is what is happening with my body? And so let's break it up into phases. And I'm going to kind of, now again, every woman's journey is going to be their own journey. And because all of us are bringing in life circumstances, whether we had children or not, our lifestyle, health history, all of that is playing a role. So I just want to say this is kind of generalization, but this is what we know for sure based on the research and also through my clinical practice of taking care of thousands of women over the years. And
including me.
Including you, and even my own personal journey, right? Yeah. Like some of my women had their children in their 20s or in their mid to late 30s. And then some of them have had children in their 40s. And so that really shifts things too. Mm-hmm. So typically we see what I call late reproductive stage. Yeah. So this is before early perimenopause, but this is usually between 35 and 40 years old. We talk about, and I don't love this word, I wish we just need to do better here, but we talk about geriatric pregnancy. And we were just talking about that a second ago.
Can we talk about that? Because I never wanted to take that in. They always told me that,
like, I will not accept that. How dare you?
How dare you call me geriatric? I'm energetically 28. What are you talking about?
We need a better term. But at puberty, we were born with the kind of the amount of eggs we're going to have, right? And by puberty, we have 300,000 to 500,000 left. And then we start to cycle them. And every month we release an egg, but we still prime up a lot of eggs to pick that one egg. So by the time we're 35 years old, we have somewhere between, give or take 10,000 eggs left. And that's why we're saying, okay, egg quality and quantity is winding down. Mm-hmm. So at 35, it's just something we're more mindful of, like really protecting our reproductive longevity. Mm-hmm. So as we move between 35 and 40 years old, you may start to have cycles where you're not ovulating. And I know we've always talked about periods, but ovulation is the main event. Without ovulation, we don't produce progesterone in the second half of our cycle in the luteal phase. Okay. So you get to your mid to late 30s and you're probably having cycles that you're not ovulating anymore. You may not notice it unless you're really tracking it. But what you will notice is in that luteal phase of your cycle, if progesterone, she didn't show up for work for that entire half of the month, you may notice your PMS symptoms are a little bit more exacerbated. Maybe they're multiple days. Instead of 2 days, they're 3 or 4 or 5 days. You may notice deeper, like maybe a slight sense of low stress tolerance, less workout recovery. You may notice maybe not body composition changes yet, but maybe a little bit more, fibrocystic breasts or breasts that get bigger or they feel lumpier, getting closer to your period. You also may notice that your cycle is changing a little bit. Like maybe it's instead of 28 days, maybe it never was, but if it was, maybe it's now 27 or 26. Mm-hmm. And so again, it can start to feel like the daily pain points of everyday life because hormones are shifting, but it's subtle. Mm-hmm. But it's still, you start to wonder, what's going on? I feel like something is shifting. Yeah. And then usually in our early 40s, I would say 42, 43 is where classically I've had women come to me and say, what is happening? I don't feel like myself anymore. My moods are erratic. I feel irritable. Body composition changes are happening. I am not able to lose weight the way that I used to. My brain isn't firing all cylinders. I just feel less resourced. And there are days where I feel like this deep sense of dread. And this is how I felt at 43. Like I remember waking up feeling like life was insurmountable. Like I felt rage. I felt mood swings. I felt like the things that I was able to do even 5 days prior, I wasn't able to do them without a lot of effort. And so I was like, okay, something isn't right. Something's going on. Something's shifting. And sure enough, this was perimenopause. And then here's the thing that is so confusing about it is that women are still regularly cycling.
Yeah.
I'm regularly cycling at almost 46 years old. And so this is where you go to your doctor and you're saying, hey, I have a litany of symptoms, particularly a lot of brain related symptoms, but my cycle seems a little bit wonky. I'm just noticing, like, I just don't feel like myself anymore. But then we're told, like, oh, well, you're still cycling. Oh, you're just getting older, or it's just the way it is.
Right. It's just like the
It's
gaslit
the gaslighting.
responses.
It's the brush off.
Yes.
It's, like, oh, you're a mom, or you're a new mom, or you probably have too much stress in your life. And it's a lot of blaming us. Like, you're not doing the right things. You're not doing enough.
Yeah.
So like, you're just broken kind of vibe. And it upsets me so much because things are definitely shifting. Progesterone's declining, estrogen's becoming erratic. And then we get to where doctors will recognize it. And that is late perimenopause. This is usually mid to late 40s into early 50s. And this is where you are having erratic cycles. You are skipping cycles for more than 60 days. Now you're dealing with the hot flashes, the night sweats, low libido, maybe UTIs. So like general urinary syndrome type symptoms. And it is impossible to miss at this point because you're 1 to 4 years out from menopause. This is where I call it the eye of the storm, where women are really seeking out help. And often it's finally being identified. Although it does take, in America, 4 to 6 office visits for our symptoms to be attributed to perimenopause and menopause.
Wow. 4 to 6 office visits to a doctor.
Yeah.
In order to be heard.
Yeah. And what this does, like what's the result of this, is that on average, it takes women about 4 years longer for a diagnosis than men. And with a delayed diagnosis means delayed support, delayed treatment, and ultimately it affects our quality of life to the point that women spend 25% more of their lives than men in debilitating health. And it can start in midlife.
Yeah. What is it that you wish most women would know about, taking their power back and claiming that even after, getting your book, reading and having more of that education around what perimenopause is? What would you say that would be?
I would say to each and every woman listening that you can reclaim your agency. And that's really about knowing your body, trusting that deep intuition. But there's 3 ways that we can do this. Number 1, track your cycle. It is a report card. Even if it's irregular, even if it's all over the place, still have an understanding of what that report card is. When we have a timeline of that report card, we can really gather information about ourselves. Also, track your symptoms. Get super clear on what's going on with your symptoms, whether it's a symptom tracker or it's an app. But if you can track your symptoms along with your cycle, that can give you so much insight into what is going on with your body.
So like the first few days of your period, how are you actually feeling?
Yes. Or even I always I joke a lot that, everybody loves day 12 us. So high follicular, right? That's day 12. Let's say it's a 28-day cycle. Ovulation's on day 14.
We look good. We feel good.
Yeah, that estradiol peak, right? So we can surge into ovulation and we are just primed, right? We've got the energy, we've got the vitality, we've got the confidence, we've got the sensuality, like we feel good. Well, in perimenopause, depending on where you are in the journey, that shifts too. Like that estradiol peak isn't going to be peaking the way that it used to. So you may notice like on day 12, when you should be feeling amazing, it feels flat, right? And so even that information in the follicular phase can tell you so much about what's going on with your body, like whether you're needing estradiol to support you, like HRT to support you. So the more that you can gather information about your cycle, you could say, hey, I used to only have PMS symptoms for 2 days. Now it feels like a continuum. I have no idea. It's all blending together. I don't really know when it stops and starts. Like that's really important information to take to your doctor so that you can advocate for yourself. The third thing is to know your numbers and a timeline of numbers. So ideally, I mean, if you're listening to it at any time in your life right now, like now is the new later.
Okay.
If you haven't had a timeline of labs before, today is a great place to start.
So you're saying like blood work?
Blood work, yeah. Okay. So serum blood draws so that we can be looking at your biomarkers, your most critical biomarkers, because unfortunately, for many of us, they are going to shift in the perimenopause transition.
But and I want to stop you right there for a second because, if people are listening to this and then they just go for their annual blood work or, they see their general practitioner, your functional medicine practitioner. Is there different lab work that we're supposed to be getting as women who are now claiming their agency? And what's like the 5 or 10 things that we need to be?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna rattle them off.
Yeah.
And I know you are probably listening to is while you're doing
driving.
the dishes, or you're driving, or you're walking, or you're dropping kids off. Like, I get it. You're like, I don't have a pen or a paper. I have it in the book.
Okay, good.
So
Good.
I cover you, and I have it in the bonuses. I have it built out, and I have optimal reference ranges, like functional reference ranges. So if you go to your doctor and you have these labs ran, and they're just like, your blood glucose is 97 milligrams per deciliter, like just inches away from prediabetes, and you're told that it's normal, you're going to know that it's not, right? So that's going to be important. So the basic, most important labs, and most of these are going to be ran by your typical provider.
Okay.
So it's going to be a comprehensive metabolic panel, a complete blood panel, with differential. So those are basics. I want a fasting insulin. This is one you're going to have to ask for, because we know that insulin resistance shows up, an average of 10 years prior to a prediabetes diagnosis.
10 years prior.
So looking at that number as early as possible can really show us where your metabolic health is standing.
Okay.
And what we can do to really help to improve your overall cellular energy. Because that's at the crux of everything. Like, your cellular energy is driving everything that you do. It's helping your brain to function properly. It's helping you to recover properly. It's supporting your mitochondrial function. Like, everything, the big part of the book is really about how do I protect your resilience and your energy and your capacity. So fasting insulin, looking at inflammation markers, so highly sensitive CRP, and looking at inflammation markers in relation to your cardiovascular health. So homocysteine, ESR, so sed rate, and fibrinogen. Those are going to be really important to understand your cardiovascular health. And then regarding cardiovascular, you want a full lipid panel, but also included a lipoprotein little a. It's a big marker for cardiovascular risk. One of my best friends, who's 36 years old, I gave her the full extensive list, including a lipoprotein little a, because so often doctors are not going to run it for you in your 40s.
Okay.
Not until like we're deep into, cardiovascular risk territory. But her lipoprotein little a was so incredibly high. She was at great risk for cardiovascular disease. And
wow.
I was so grateful that we advocated for it, because otherwise she would never have known. And so now what we're implementing, the testing, the diagnostics, the medications, the lifestyle interventions, it's a very different picture now that we know that number, right? An ApoB is also very important here, because again, the thing about cardiovascular disease, more women will die of heart attack and stroke than men.
Really?
And it's very silent for us. It's often missed. The symptoms are missed. And so that lab work can become so mission critical. I also want to be looking at ideally a uric acid, if I can get like another inflammation marker, nutrients like B vitamins and magnesium. I want to look at anemia, so iron, ferritin.
Yeah, what's with everyone saying they've got low iron? That's trending.
Yeah, it's so many women do.
Okay.
That has a lot to do. It could be related to thyroid function. It could be related to, again, a nutrient deficiency. And also in a lot of ways, our lifestyle and in this modern day life isn't conducive to us having enough nutrients in the body and optimized hormones. So all of that's playing a role. So always demand a full iron and ferritin panel.
Okay.
So, because that can be addressed. And that can absolutely be a reason why you're fatigued and your brain is feeling like mush. Then hormones. I think we should be looking at hormones. So a full thyroid panel, including antibodies. I'm not talking about just TSH and free T4. Like, look at everything, right?
Yeah.
And looking at progesterone, a full testosterone panel, estradiol, and even cortisol. And even a morning cortisol can tell me a lot about what's going on, but ideally a diurnal cortisol where we're looking at cortisol metabolites. But again, that's more functional testing.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get you to get what you need from your primary doctor. So those would be all of what I consider to be the baseline labs that I want to look at to really understand at a comprehensive level what is going on with you.
So, okay, so we've got all the labs, and you're giving everybody a cheat sheet and all of the things inside the book. In the bonuses. So everyone needs to get the book.
Yes.
And we'll link it in the show notes. But so for a lot of us who go to traditional physicians, are they reading all of this and comprehending it in the way that we need to? Or are you also teaching people how to read their own labs? And how are you supporting them in that way?
Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of our doctors, especially our primary doctors, are not looking at these labs in a very meaningful way. You have to think about our medical system is really driven by pathology. We're waiting to see when you're going to kind of tip the scale towards prediabetes or even diabetes. Like 84% of women or people who have prediabetes don't even know they have it, even if it's showing up on the labs. Like the best friend that I was just talking about had a fasting glucose of 105 milligrams per deciliter. That is prediabetes.
Oh, wow.
And once women get to about 108 milligrams per deciliter, we see an increased risk for cardiovascular disease. So you don't have to be diabetic to have that risk factor. A lot of these labs were really still based on men. And so she is at great risk for, again, and I bet her, her doctor was like, oh, it's kind of, early prediabetes, kind of just brushed it off. And I'm like, no, this is something we need to address now. So often doctors are really looking at the pathology. Are you over 150 milligrams per deciliter on your triglycerides? I don't want women to be over 80 milligrams per deciliter. And so once you're at that point of 150 where your triglyceride levels are really high, and then they're saying, okay, now we have an issue. No, it was an issue that's been developing. And so when I think about looking at a woman from a whole perspective, I am looking at labs, I'm looking at symptoms, I'm looking at lifestyle, I'm looking at health history, and I'm looking at your goals. Where do you want to go? But when we start to gain agency and you really start to understand at least the critical lab numbers and you're looking at them in a meaningful way, and also obviously you're working with a practitioner or a provider that is willing to have the conversation with you and work with you, that is when I feel we're able to kind of get a path through and really create a comprehensive plan that really works for us individually.
Wow. And I feel like, you're really creating this perimenopause revolution. And I want to kind of speak a little bit to, the women who are in their 40s, maybe late 30s, 40s, who are also, they're having their babies for the first time. Maybe they're also expanding their family. Maybe they've got one kid under belt and now they want to have, number 2 or number 3. But then you're hitting us with this perimenopause. Can we be in perimenopause and also still, have a family? And what should we be looking at?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would say particularly in early perimenopause. Again, women are still cycling. And there's a lot that we can do. One, it's going to be first and foremost, you think about ovulation as one of the most metabolically driven processes in the body. And understandably so. I mean, we are prepping to 3D print a person, every single month, whether you like it or not, like that is what you're doing. And so really the first part of that is making sure that you have good metabolic health, that you are managing your blood sugar, that you are moving your body in a meaningful way, that you're getting great sleep, and that you are supporting your hormones, and so those would be kind of the tenets, like the big foundation that we think about. And when I think about egg quality and reproductive longevity, I think about mitochondrial health and how we can support our mitochondrial health. And that's really circadian rhythm optimization. I always think about sleep consistency, going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, getting sunlight during the day and then dimming the lights and kind of removing the blue light at night, just really honoring that circadian rhythm. Also, even with our eating, is that our bodies, everything's running on a circadian clock. And so making sure that we're being really mindful about eating as well. So I always recommend early time restricted eating, where you eat earlier in the evening if you can, and then you don't eat again until the morning when you break that fast. And again, that is supporting your hormones, that is supporting your metabolic health, that is ultimately helping to optimize your mitochondrial function.
So what's the earliest you recommend us eating at night?
I would say I'd say like what's reasonable, because again, what's earliest and then what's reasonable is a whole different conversation. Ideally, I would love everyone to be done with dinner by 7.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that is
so
doable.
7, and then they're eating again, what?
7, let's say 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, I would say.
So like a 13-hour fast
give
is
or
good.
take. Yeah. And again, we're just talking overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we think that's so hard, but it's actually not.
Yeah, drink your chai.
Yeah. Okay.
At night. Well, like a calming
But yeah,
chai.
we've got the nervous system reset chai at night, the pink chai, the
Yeah,
rose
I mean,
ritual.
and, have a swap. It's something that helps to support you and regulate you. If it's been snacks, like swap it.
Yeah.
Swap it for a beautiful tea. Swap it for electrolyte water. Swap it for a different type of routine that helps to calm that nervous system so that you're getting that deep quality sleep. But yeah, fundamentally, it's mitochondrial function.
Okay.
And
So
'cause
supporting
that's
our
what's driving,
mitochondria.
yeah. The most mitochondria in any part of the body is in the ovaries. But are we surprised? When
Wow.
again, we're prepping for ovulation and for the release of an egg that's going to make a human, right? So that's going to be mission critical. Also, working with a provider to make sure that your hormones are really well balanced. You may need to be bringing in a little bit of progesterone in the second half of your cycle to make sure, because remember, progesterone is pro-gestation. It's your pro-gestation hormone. So you want to make sure that you have enough. So I had my son at 41 years old, and I was taking oral micronized progesterone in the second half of my cycle to ensure that I was going to maintain that pregnancy.
Because, if you don't have that, it can be the reason why we have these miscarriages.
Yes, it can be one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons why we see women in midlife having more miscarriages.
Yeah. Because the progesterone either
it just didn't show up.
Didn't show up. Just didn't show up.
Or it's been low. I mean, a lot of things affect progesterone, and it's not, you hear about that progesterone steal, the cortisol steal.
Yes.
That's not true. What it really is fundamentally is that stress. You think about any animal, including us as humans, like if we're in survival mode, the body's going to be like, hey, we don't have the capacity for bringing life into this world. This isn't a safe environment. This isn't a safe place to bring in a human being. And so it really is ovulation that's impacted, egg quality and egg quantity that's being affected. And so if we're sending safety signals to the brain, we're regulating our nervous system, we're optimizing our mitochondria, and we're dialing our hormones, that really primes us for, it can really set us up to win, to have pregnancies, have babies later in life. Yeah.
This is huge.
Yeah. I took a year to prime up for my son.
You did.
Yeah. Because I was 39, 40 years old. I wasn't disillusioned. I knew I was getting older.
So you wanted to make those ovaries, your eggs,
robust,
the best, highest quality Lux that it could be.
I wore CGMs. I was taking supplements. I was making sure my hormones were good. I was eating an anti-inflammatory protocol because I wanted to reduce any inflammation in my body. Because I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, I was taking thyroid medication and I was managing my inflammation. But I was doing all the things to support my mitochondria and my ovarian health so that I could bring this beautiful being into the world. And I'm very transparent that I got pregnant pretty quickly the first time, and I had a miscarriage. And, we thought my progesterone levels were okay enough. And that was the one thing that I made sure to bring in. So I dealt with that. I gave myself a month or two, and then was on progesterone and got pregnant again about 3 months later with my son.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And sometimes it's just the little things.
Yeah, it can be the little
it's the little things. I want to kind of segue into, the book.
Yes.
The Perimenopause Revolution. And you have so many amazing goodies inside the book. You also include a 5-week reset.
Yes.
So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. The first part of this reset is the mindset. You asked me, how do we not just survive through this, but we thrive through it? I think there's a fine line between having women understand what's going on, because we deserve to know what's happening in our body, but then also knowing that you get to decide. You get to decide what this journey gets to look like. You get to decide how you show up for yourself. You get to decide that you are worth prioritizing when the world tells you to prioritize everyone and everything else. And so that first step is the mindset, asking yourself those really critical questions about what would you love? What brings you joy? Who are you becoming in the second half of your life? Who do you want to step into? Then from there, because I think when we have that mindset shift that we're like, okay, I'm clear on who I'm going to become. I can see her over there and she is rocking it. Let me tell you, she is killing it. And I am willing to be consistent to get to her. Woo! So that's what the 5-week plan is first, we are mission critical about who we are becoming. It's our North Star.
Yes, yes.
Because at this time we could really be in the energy of this is just happening to me. Oh, this is just, I'm unmotivated. I don't
So
feel
like
like
the
confidence.
victim.
Yeah. Just like maybe this is the beginning of the end. Like maybe I can't do the things I used to do. Like a lot of that noise is going to come into our minds, especially when things start to feel destabilizing.
Well, and I feel like a lot of, I can just, when you're saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can recall some of my elders in my family just like, accepting it as if it was their fate, like this is it. But it doesn't have to be that
No,
way.
it does not have to be that way. And if anything, on the days that I'm really struggling, it is the reason why I double down on my consistency, because I can see me. I can see my future self. And man, she's like, girl, just get here. Okay, get here. And so then the 5-week plan is the recipes, the meal plan, the movement, the sleep, the sending safety signals to the brain, all the things that are helping you to feel alive in your body. Like I believe in double dipping. I believe in double dipping so that I'm mitigating symptoms and I'm feeling alive today, but I'm double dipping for my grandma self, my future self,
Yes.
where I am getting out of a car effortlessly. I'm getting off the floor without having to struggle and try. I am picking up my grandbabies off the floor when they're sick. I am running, I'm hiking, I'm traveling. I am shot putting, I'm 5'2", okay? I am shot putting my overhead bag into the compartment. Like I am living my life, not having to negotiate with what I have capacity and bandwidth for. That's what this program is all about.
Oh, so good. So good. And I feel like this is for everyone.
Everyone.
And how can our partners, the males in our life, how can they be supportive in this season and space?
Absolutely. Stop chewing. Stop breathing. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I think what's really critical in this transition is one, that they know that we are inherently changing, that this is a neuroendocrine transition, that as these hormones are on the wind down, and mind you, they don't have to be. You can always supplement in and bring in hormone replacement therapy. Like
Okay.
just know that there's a lot of tools.
And you're okay with that.
Oh,
You're
yes.
okay with that. You're okay with
I got my estrogen patch on right now,
okay.
girl.
And testosterone, you're okay with that. Okay.
I'm cycling progesterone right now because I'm still cycling in my life, in my perimenopause journey. So yeah, no, I'm on all the hormones. But it's really about communication, them understanding what's going on. But also when I start to feel a shift, I'm communicating. Like I was telling you, there are times in my month where by the end of my day, I am overstimulated.
Yeah.
And what I can hold capacity for is my 4-year-old, because he's going to ask me, where's the 2x4 flat red Lego?
Yeah.
Can you find that for me, Mom?
Of course.
He's the little CEO, right, of the house. He's orchestrating everybody. And I can handle the barrage of questions and the things that are coming. But then when I've got another person coming at me with a barrage of questions, it's like my brain just short circuits. So I tell my husband, I'm like, hey, listen, I am feeling overextended. I'm a little bit over capacity at this moment. Can you just give me a moment, give me some space? Let me take care of Kingston, and then let's revisit. Yeah. And I'm just like, hey, I'm in luteal phase. Like, this is just where I'm at. And so it's a lot of communication. But also I asked, I'm like, hey, would you be down to take Kingston for 2 hours today? Can I just get alone time? Can I reset my nervous system? And I think the more that we can communicate or be in constant communication with our partners, and meet each other with grace, and especially ask for grace, I cannot tell you how much more of a supportive relationship I'm in when he understands kind of why I am kind of responding the way I'm responding, or acting the way I'm acting, or just having a moment.
And really claiming your needs instead of being able to just have the other person read your mind, because we would wish they have
aggressive.
right. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
So I want to get into our spill the chai section, because we've gone over a lot of things.
Let me get my chat
today. Yes. You can answer this as our little rapid fire round, as short as you want, as long as you want. What are 3 non-negotiables that every woman in her 30s and 40s should do right now? After watching this.
1, prioritize you. Like if all your life you've been told to self-sacrifice and prioritize everyone else, like if you have symptoms, your body is telling you it is time to prioritize you. Number 2, protect your sleep like it's $1 million meeting. Okay. Netflix is not $1 million meeting. Your partner coming to you about the grocery list tomorrow is not $1 million meeting. Like, protect that, because sleep will make or break you. Ooh. And then number 3, I would say build your life around your friendships and your community. Like, have the soul sisters in your life that can hold you up, because this transition can feel lonely. And it can feel, because there's a lot of shame around it. Again, we're blamed a lot for what we're going through. And it can feel like we're the only ones. I'm telling you, we are in this together. There are millions of women who are experiencing what you are experiencing right now if you're in this journey. And the more that you surround yourself with friends who forgot that they put their keys in the refrigerator, or they don't have executive function for work right now and they're afraid they're going to lose their job, or they are raging at their family members. I'm telling, like, when you know that there's, and it's one thing to be held in that and to feel safe in that. I don't want to normalize it like there isn't something we can do about it, because you deserve to feel alive. You deserve to thrive in this season. But also, I love to have my girls around me who are like, girl, I know. Like, there's something to be said about that.
I'm with you. I'm with you on it 100. Okay. What is one perimenopause symptom that caught you off guard?
I would say the rage.
Yeah.
The rage was, I was like, this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. What's something you're still unlearning in midlife?
I would say I'm still unlearning the belief that I am worthy because I'm productive.
Ooh, big. Your favorite guilty pleasure when hormones are wild in?
Ooh, I would say a really sexy almond milk cappuccino at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Decaf or full cap?
No, full cab. Yeah, I'm trying to crawl through the rest of I'm trying to get through the rest of my day. Childcare is not ended yet, okay?
That's true. That's true. He's 4. And what is the mission or the message that you have for this book?
The main message is that perimenopause is not the beginning of the end. It is you stepping into a more authentic, more true version of yourself. This is an awakening. This book is a rally cry. This is a movement. And we're at a point in our lives where we deserve to be heard, and you deserve a gold standard of care.
Ooh, yes. Yes. Everyone, get the book. You know where to get it. We're giving you so many bonuses.
So many bonuses. And bonuses that that will move
so
the needle
valuable
for you now.
Yeah.
Like, I want, wherever you're at in this journey, if you are struggling or just barely struggling out, whatever level that you're going through, the way that I created these bonuses is that in 7 days, if you implement, you are a different woman.
Yeah. Huge. Huge. I'm going to link everything in the show notes. And Dr. Mariza, where can we follow you?
Yeah, Energized at Dr. Mariza. That's the podcast, which you've been on. And you're in the book, by the way.
Yes.
You're in the book, in the community chapter. Like, because I had to.
Okay.
Okay.
Of course.
Dr. Neeta's in the book. I just wanted to do a little shout out right there. Instagram at Dr. Mariza, so DrMariza. And I have a lot of peri humor, but also actionable tips that you can take today. So because we get to have levity.
It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah,
it's fun. We can make fun of ourselves. Yeah. It's okay.
And we can be in it, and we can be in it together. You know. And then also Dr. Mariza is the website as well. And the book is everywhere books are sold.
Ooh. This was honestly such an eye-opener, but also I feel like you're giving women permission to claim all parts of themselves. The crazy, the wild, the soft, the sensual, and the future her that we're becoming. And I just want to say thank you so much. You have been on this ride for so many years in writing amazing books and just sharing your wisdom. And I'm so glad. And I know this book is going to just ignite so many women in so many ways. So thank you. And wow, guys, this conversation was an ignition starter. This is your invitation to be more brave in literally taking agency with your health, literally taking agency with the women around you. As Dr. Mariza said, you know, we are where we are right now, and now is what we have. So go ahead and grab her book, The Perimenopause Revolution. We've got so many amazing goodies for you, but also share this with a bestie, share this with a friend, a family member, pass this on like a baton, because we are igniting women to actually claim their health, take agency over their health. And, you know, this can be a season that can help us all thrive. And so Thank you for tuning in. And if you were watching this on YouTube, tell us what you loved in the comments below. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Let us know what you loved so much or what changed your perspective on perimenopause. Tag Dr. Mariza and I on Instagram or at The Brave Table. And I will see you next time. Don't forget to be just a little bit more brave. You know I've got so much more in store for you. So if you are really ready to dive in and keep owning your emotions like the boss that you are, click right here. Go ahead, don't be shy. I'll see you in the next one. Keep shining.